our cameras off, Tom?
No, leave your camera on, that's good. Okay, we're now live, so if anyone's watching this live stream live, welcome. And hopefully we've got a few people from around the world joining us and watching us, or are going to watch this later. And you might want to put your headphones on because we're getting a little bit of acoustic feedback there.
That's probably me pouring my tea. Do that.
There we go. Okay. Hey, so joining us today we have David Nichols, all the way from the North Shore somewhere. And say hi, Dave.
Hi, everybody. Do you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah, let's do that.
My name is Dave Nichols. I'm an associate professor in the School of Clinical Sciences at AUT, and background is as a physio, but I have a real interest in how educational technology, health technology are going to affect the future for health professions. How about that?
Cool. And I figured out what was happening with the audio there. I had a window open with the live stream as well. So it was my fault. And we also have joining us from the shore, Todd Stretton.
Hi, so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Todd. I am also a physiotherapist and at AUT help out as far as program leading the undergraduate program. Been involved as far as the cMOOCs for, this is my third iteration, and have recently completed my cMALT accreditation. So, and then this was a big part of it. So I've been able to collaborate with others around the world, and those that don't see us live, that are able to collaborate later on as well, and just continue to talk about the involvement of technology and enhancing our learning and teaching. So welcome.
Yeah, great to have you two guys here this morning. So today is really just kind of like an intro for anyone who's interested in finding out about the cMOOC, and perhaps before they commit, they want to just learn a bit more about it. So it'd be great to get some reflections from Todd. I know Dave has followed along with some of the stuff we've done before, but I think it's the first time Dave's actually formally signed up. So hopefully get Dave involved over the next 7 weeks as well. And as Todd said, he's our newest cMALT member. So I guess part of the rationale for what we're doing with the cMOOC is to provide a supportive community for people who are interested in getting cMALT accreditation. But that's not necessarily the only goal. Really, it's about trying to develop an international network of like-minded people and providing a forum for that. So whether you get the cMALT accreditation or you start working towards that, or like Todd, you do 2 or 3 iterations, then that's all good. The key really is getting people to share ideas and participate and be active. So welcome. So the cMOOC will run for 7 weeks, starting on Monday the 25th of February. So I'll just give a bit of an outline, a little bit of a talk of stuff, and Dave and Todd, just button at any stage if there's something you want to hear a little bit more about, or I've forgotten something, then just ask questions or add. Todd, you've done this several times, so that would be great. So what I thought I'd do is just start by screen sharing so you can see the WordPress site, and I'll just bring that up. Okay, so hopefully everyone's seeing that now. The home for the cMOOC is on WordPress. It's cmalt.wordpress.com. All pretty straightforward as far as finding it. Then the URL. We also use the hashtag cMOOC for sharing any content, particularly social media, throughout the 7 weeks. And it just means you don't have to follow specific people if you don't want to. So as part of the sign-up process, you can see on the sign-up form, we get people to give us a username so we know who they are, and an email address so we can enroll you in our Moodle forum, a blog address, because we really encourage people to keep a journal of their learning progress along the way, and perhaps even use that as their e-portfolio for their CMALT accreditation if they so wish. And Twitter as well, because we use Twitter to create an asynchronous community, because we have people all around the world communicating with us. So that's sort of the start. And then each week, basically, we explore a section of a CMALT portfolio. And we do this using a number of technologies. And you can see the 7 weeks as I pop up over it here. First one is a contextual statement, which really is, I guess, what drives and motivates you as an educator, whether you're allied staff or academic, why you're involved in higher education, why the drive to do that, perhaps some of the influences. That's a bit of your story. So that's not actually marked or assessed as such, but you do need to have a contextual statement. So I guess the first week of the CMALT really is kind of introducing everyone, getting everyone to be part of the community. So there's a few things we do there. One is get people to put themselves on a collaborative Google map, which is great to give it a sense of geography, and also start contributing in the discussion forums. So if I just find our Google map here, you can see there's already people there because we have done the CMOOC a few times already, but encourage you to, if you haven't already, to put yourself on the map. This is by invitation only, so once we actually start the CMOOC, we'll email you an invite via the email you've signed up for, and you can put yourself on the map and perhaps provide a little bit of detail. You can see there I've got my Twitter QR code and just some of my contact details, but not enough so that people can stalk you, obviously, but enough so they know who you are, and a bit of the context of perhaps why you're joining the CMOOC. So that's one of the first activities, and it is really just to get people feeling part of the community. Then each week we follow through a different part of the section of the CMALT portfolio. You can see things like exploring operational issues, sort of the wider issues that impact your teaching practice. Exploring learning teaching assessment, that's things like, how do you design an assessment, how do you go about marking it, and in particular courses, how you integrate technology into that. Exploring the wider context, other perhaps legislation, government issues that might impact on you. Perhaps in Europe it's GDPR, in New Zealand it could be the Treaty of Waitangi, it really depends upon your context. Week 5, communication and collaboration. It's how you work in a team, which, perhaps as an academic, it's not necessarily something you do a lot. A lot of academics tend to design, deliver, and mark their own courses and not necessarily work together. So demonstrating how you can work in a team using technology is a core area. Choosing a specialization, so that might be an area that you really focus on, that's perhaps unique to you. And then finally, your future plans. So life doesn't stop once you've submitted your CMALT portfolio. It's where do you plan to head. So the other key thing that's different for this year that I really wanted to highlight in this intro is that Google Plus is going away, unfortunately. We've used Google Plus as a real focus for our community over the last few years, which has been great. But unfortunately, Google's shutting that down. So what we are using is a self-hosted Moodle forum. You can see the address up here. It's community.sotel.nz, community.sotel.nz. And this is the hub for all of our research clusters, and there's a discussion forum there for the CMALT cMOOC. So you will get enrolled in here once you've signed up. You should get an automatic message giving you a login and a temporary password. You can log in, change your password to something you can remember, and then check this to see what the activities happening. We'll post here each week. Hopefully we'll get some discussion happening. See, there's a couple of posts there we've put there already. You can see some of the links to the resources around the cMOOC. But essentially, the cMOOC really is a network of people, not about delivery of content as such. You can see our previous webinars. We've got over 40 there. You can go back and have a look at some of those if you like, but the new ones will be added to that as well. So one other thing that you may not be aware of, but on the Moodle forum, you can download the free Moodle app to your mobile device and then use that same URL to log in on your smartphone, on your tablet, using the Moodle app. And at some stage, we'll probably customize that and just call it Sottle Community. But you just put in the community.sottle.nz address into the Moodle app and then sign in, and that just might be a little bit easier for you on the go. Or alternatively, or another way, if you click on the little cogwheel here on the community forum, there's actually an RSS feed. Now, for those of you who perhaps not as old as me, might have not be aware of what RSS is or have forgotten what it is, but it's rich site summary. It gives you a shortcut to be able to subscribe to forums. And I'll just pull up, I use Feedly. You copy and paste that link into Feedly, and then it will automatically check for new posts and notify you. Gives you a quick summary. So that's just a quick overview of some of the nuts and bolts. I might just stop screen sharing now and going back to talking. So any questions, particularly, Dave and Todd, I've done a lot of rapidly overviewing there.
My question, Tom, really for both of you, really, is to how it's worked in the past for you. Has it been fully asynchronous in as much as people have posted stuff up a day or two later? There's a slow kind of iterative process, or is there a much more kind of dynamic thing about it? Do you have lots of kind of rapid fire question answer type things?
Well, I guess the webinars are kind of the main synchronous activity. The rest of it's asynchronous. Although quite often we do have quite rich discussions on Twitter, and they can be, pretty rapid, which is cool. So yeah, I guess in general, most of the activity is asynchronous, and that just gives people a bit of flexibility as to when they're available, when they can log on, when they can update, when they can chat, when they can share.
I think for me, especially when I was first introduced to the cMALT, and then considering as far as my cMALT portfolio, so you see as far as the weekly iterations, and when you are submitting something to the project bank, so that's something that Tom might talk about a little bit later, but when you go through the week by week almost tasks, submitting to the others there, I found that people were providing feedback in both my web blog and or Twitter, and the likes of the WordPress was fairly new to me at the time, so it took me a little while to actually appreciate that that's where some information was being shared. But it was great feedback as far as have you thought about. It did feel like a very safe environment to be able to share to and fro, and to be able to give some critique with others that are going through the process themselves. So I agree. On the whole, it's asynchronous, but for me, it was also learning this is what other people use the technology and what they feel safe to provide information to, and I just needed to tune into that.
Okay.
Yeah, so for some people, they've been on Twitter for a while, and it's just a natural part of their daily routine or productivity. I know you've used Twitter for quite a while, Dave. And for me, I guess it's a way of creating a global community using Twitter, because the people I know in the UK are always in bed when I'm awake, and vice versa, or it's late at night for them and early for me. So yeah, Twitter in particular, I think, is very empowering for what we're doing, because it is an asynchronous technology and it's quick and easy. You can tweet your post to the Moodle forum if you want to kind of announce them to people to make sure they go and check it. You can tweet your posts on your WordPress blog, or whatever blog host you use, to draw attention to it. tweet your latest publications.
I think the other thing there, Tom, is the consideration of the if then that applets that you can use. So I found that you could create the ones or people that already developed the recipes of if someone posts here, then you get notified another way. And I found that once I got my head around that, then that helped to centralize things for me. So for David, it might be that everything gets centralized to you, to Twitter, because that's something that you're very familiar and active in, rather than having all the other avenues as well.
Yeah, so that's a good hint, I think, Todd, if people have come across if this then that. If they haven't, then you can find it basically as an app on the App Store for Android and iOS, or just as a web on your laptop. And you can create rules to do functions automatically. It's kind of like a script editor, and a very simple script editor. So you could create an if this then that task that whenever you post the Moodle form, it auto tweets it or whatever, something like that. So if you want to make your life slightly easier, you can explore that.
Have you set up some quite sophisticated if this then that applets, Todd?
That was a question for you, Todd.
I didn't hear that last bit.
Oh, I was just saying, have you set up some quite sophisticated applets and workarounds for centralizing a lot of the different sources using if this then that then?
I can't take credit for them because they're ones that are already there. Yeah. So it's kind of, you know how you do when you look out for an app, you think, oh, I wonder if someone else has thought of this before. And so I've just gone to the ifttt.com site, signed in, and if you just look at the Twitter and then see what it links in with, then there's usually people that have already developed the recipe for that, and it just works in the background.
I've had one for a while that takes Feedly posts and puts them into Pocket and then emails them to me, because it just was a workaround that I had for trying to remember where stuff was. But I found it was quite clumsy, and I kind of haven't played with it enough, I don't think. So I'd quite like to sit down with you maybe and have a look at some of the things you're doing with it, and I think it could be really powerful, but I haven't really broken through that threshold if it just looks a bit clunky for me at the minute.
So I think that might be a really good challenge for Todd, is maybe a post on the Moodle forum is a little tutorial on how to use if this then that. Well, and particularly linking it into the cMOOC.
Well, funnily enough, on my cMALT, what I did do was a video, a user video on how to use the recipes. So, and which ones that I'd used in terms of the cMALT. So one of the key ones that I had was if I had created a post on my cMALT portfolio, then created a Twitter feed. And that also, I think, went to the Google Plus community. So, yeah, I'm happy to share that.
Useful.
Yeah, that'd be great. So encourage you to share that on the community forum. So I'm just going to go back to screen sharing just to sort of finish off and show people the project bank, because you did mention that, Todd, and I think that's an important part of what we're trying to achieve, is that sharing of practice throughout the cMOOC. So I'll just go back to screen sharing. Just got to select the right window. Okay, present to one. Okay, so hopefully now you see the SOTL community, the forum for the cMOOC. So going back to WordPress, our WordPress hub for the cMOOC, you'll see there's a number of main headings. So home obviously takes you to the blog page, which we update each week, or whenever there's something interesting to post and share. About is a little bit of a background, the sign up form, the weekly activities, and then we also have the project bank, which is where we try to encourage participants to share excerpts of their cMOOC portfolios, and then get some feedback on them. The link to the discussion forum, which now goes to Moodle, our blog roll, and a few resources. But let's have a quick look at the project bank. So, as I said before, really what we're trying to achieve with the cMOOC is really a network of people and sharing of ideas. So this is where we really encourage people, as well as the forum on Moodle, use the project bank to share, in particular, examples of sections of their CMALT portfolio and get feedback on them. So you can see in the project bank, we've got a section for each of the CMALT portfolio sections. And you can see there's a few projects that have been shared there, mostly around the contextual statement and operational issues. I think those are probably a couple of the easier ones. And if we go and look at some of these, you can see people have given some feedback on them. And effectively what a submission to the project bank is a link. So if we go project bank, submit project, it just brings up a form. You choose the area or the type of project that you're sharing, give it a title, give it a description, what are you sharing? You can tag it if you like. Give yourself a rating. So by default, you get 1 star. You might want to give yourself a bit more, don't be shy. And then the key thing really is putting a link to whatever you're sharing. So whatever it is needs to be online. It could be a YouTube video. It could be, an Instagram. It could be a Flickr photo. It could be a blog out of your blog. Whatever it is you're sharing is online there. And then you can create yourself a little thumbnail to give it a little bit of, give it a bit of context. If you don't, then you just get the CMALT cMOOC logo by default. And you can also choose your Creative Commons license. So that's up to you as to which license level you want to share your content via. And then you click on add this project and it goes into the bank. So that's the project bank. And, view those, the ones that are there already, add some more. Feedback for people, give them some comments and rate them, give them some stars if you think it's a good share. So yeah, thanks for highlighting that, Todd, and I'll just go back out of screen sharing.
Can I ask a question, Tom, about the community of people that have progressed through and gone through their CMALT accreditation like Todd has, but in Todd's case, he's back and he's back involved in the community and really emphasizing that kind of ongoing community connection. Is there, as we go through it, are all of those people who've gone through the CMALT accreditation before and been involved in the cMOOCs and the community still engaged? Are they still involved, or have they kind of moved through and sort of left, graduated and gone?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So particularly with the Google Plus community, it just became cumulative. So each year it grew because each year new people got involved and no one unenrolled. So all the participants had the option to unenroll themselves and no one did, which was great. So people like Todd, Amanda, Laurent, who did every iteration became the more experienced peers and would share from their experience and pop it in out that way. So it's a great, I think, sort of ongoing sharing community as well. It's certainly not massive as far as the massive and MOOCs go. It's this year I think so far we've got 58 people enrolled, which is nice. And we had 80 over the previous 3 iterations. So it is a little bit different this year because we've switched from Google Plus to Moodle Forum. So people have to choose to re-enroll. And so it's kind of like a fresh start there. But there will be a number of people who actually have done the cMOOCs before.
I think the other thing there, Dave, is having people step in and out depending on where their thinking's at, I guess. As we know, we all get a bit busy with the day-to-day grind, but then there's also, I've just tried something new and I've made some reflection on that, and by posting it to either the group, to the forum, or people see it through their various feeds. I think there is that reconnection, and I think even last iteration we had Liz Hudson, who she was going for her reaccreditation. Is that right, Tom? So she had a purpose, but it was nice to have her expertise of going through the process before that helped me to understand as to what I needed to focus on. So yeah, people do step in and out.
Yeah, and it's not all guys, like unfortunately the webinar participants this morning either.
Mm-hmm.
There is a significant number of women involved. But yeah, so it's about trying to create that sense of community, of connection and sharing of ideas. And there may be weeks where you feel like you can contribute more, or perhaps you got a little bit too busy, so you wait until the next time to jump back in there. But we're certainly not expecting that at the end of the 7 weeks that everyone's going to be able to get their CMALT accreditation. We're hoping that by the end of the 7 weeks, they'll know what's involved, and they'll feel supported by a community in the process of doing that.
I like the structure of it. I mean, just where I sit right now, I like the structure of it from the point of view that it provides a framework for conversation. But to me, that idea of a community of the willing, it's always such a great idea. I love those things. And I'm much more interested in seeing over the next few weeks, I suppose, whether there's a place for me in that.
I'm sure there is.
Well, I'm sure there is, maybe. But like Todd was saying, about the place in the sense of fitting in with the world of work and life and interests and
yeah. And I think just sort of working out a flow of how you can contribute without it being a huge load or something, so much extra that it gets in the way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks guys for being part of the intro. I hope for people that have been watching or watch later, perhaps this has answered some of their questions of what is this cMOOC about, why would I do it, what's involved. And, if you are interested and you haven't signed up yet, then go to the WordPress site, the cMOOC.wordpress.com, sign up. Then we'll give it an email address. We'll be able to enroll you in the the Moodle forum, and, use the hashtag on Twitter and search for that and get involved. That would be great. So we'll see you all, hopefully, next week.
Yeah. See you next week. See you, Todd.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Todd. See ya. Bye.